Hi everyone, this is Abel, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna be talking about easily my favorite subgenre in science fiction, space opera. But before we start, remember that if you enjoy science fiction and fantasy books, especially space opera and epic fantasy, this is the perfect place for you. So please support this channel by subscribing and leaving a like. Thank you. To give you a short idea about what I'm searching for and what I'm talking about specifically for this video, think about Dune by Frank Herbert, that has that deep exploration of sociological and technological matters and a bunch of amazing characters and that beautiful and sad and mystifying aesthetics that somehow looks more like epic fantasy that space opera and science fiction. And I will say that I'm still convinced that The Wheel of Time is more of an post-apocalyptic far future science fiction series than fantasy. But when I say that, people get really mad, really angry at me, but I don't care because it's truth. So I went on Reddit and asked this specific question. Please, Redditors, help me, give me suggestions about space opera books set in a far future when the aesthetics becomes more similar to something akin to epic fantasy, with big ideas and beautiful characters, something that becomes in a way all-encompassing, that gives me exactly everything I like in fantasy and science fiction. And I've got a ton of answers and replies and amazing recommendations. I will link that Reddit thread on my description box down below, because there's no way I will going to have the space, time and mental capacity, the mental energy to mention everything of that. So if this video does well, I will surely mention more about the books that I think are especially engaging for me from all of those suggestions. But I will say that all the suggestions I've got, they were very good and very smart. A few of those books are not exactly my alley, but you may find them exactly and very interesting for you. So I suggest you to go down below, click on the link and go to see the entire discussions. And of course, if you have any more suggestions, if you're interested in some of the books I'm mentioning, if you have read some of the books I'm mentioning, please comment down below and start a conversation. Give me your suggestions, help out. The first suggestion I've got is House of Suns by Alastair Reynolds. This is a hugely popular author in the SFF community. He's very prolific, and till today I think a new book has been published a few weeks ago. It is House of Suns, and I think it's a standalone, but correct me if I'm wrong. And it is really interesting. Listen to this. 6 million years ago, at the dawn of the starfaring era, Abigail Gentian fractured herself into 1,000 male and female clones, which she called Shatterlings. But now someone is eliminating all of those clones. The protagonists are two of those clones called Shatterlings. They're Campion and Purslane, who have fallen in love and shared forbidden experience. They must determine exactly who or what their enemy is before they're wiped out of existence. See, this is the kind of big idea, huge scope, and hopefully character exploration that I'm searching for. So yeah, I can't wait to start this one, House of Sun by Alastair Reynolds. And probably will be the jumping point for me to enter the world of the books from author Alastair Reynolds. Let's see how it goes. Then I have the Hono Harrington Saga. This series is so long, so long running and so big that has been called the Honorverse. It created a shared universe with many stories. It has actually 20 novels in this universe. I don't think they are just one series. I don't think there are a straight line of 20 books. I think there are novels and short stories and spin-offs with this. It is a little bit confusing because if you click on the description of the series on Amazon, it will tell you that we have 15 novels. But if you scroll down and get to the last book in that 15 book series, it will be called number 20. So let's see how that it works. I'll do more digging. But the very good thing is that the book 1, which is called On Basilisk Station, when the character of Hono Harrington gets introduced, is completely and permanently free on Amazon. And it has been described like Horatio Hornblower in space. And I think that the author David Weber was somehow friend with the author of the Master and Commander series, so that's a little bit of trivia that will make you look smart if you speak about science fiction and space opera with your friends. So let's say what it is about. Hono Harrington, she's been exiled to Basilisk Station in disgrace and set up for ruin by a superior who hates her. Her demoralized crew blames her for their ship's humiliating post to an out-of-the-way pocket station. The aborigine of the system's only habitable planet are smoking homicide-inducing hallucinogens. Parliament isn't sure it wants to keep the place. The major local industries is smuggling. The merchant cartel wants her head. The star-conquering so-called Republic of Heaven is up to something. And Hono Harrington has a single, overage light cruiser with an armament that doesn't work to police the entire star system. But the people who out to get her have made one mistake. They've made her mad. That's amazing. You see, that's what I'm searching for when I speak about character-driven story. I like when the synopsis of the book gives you a brief look at the setting and to the main conflict, but when it has this kind of focus on the main characters, chef kiss for me. This is all I want, and I can't wait to start this series, especially because book 1 is completely free, so it's a win for everybody. Go give it a check. If you have read anything of this or of the other books that I will mention in this video, please let me know. Let me know what you think about it. This is probably the most popular series that fits in the coordinates that I gave you about what I'm searching for exactly for this video, and it is the Book of the New Sun by Wolfe. This is hugely influential because it was one of the first books that successfully merged science fiction and the aesthetics of fantasy books. So even if I haven't read this series, I've heard so much about it that I'm pretty knowledgeable about it, and I'm pretty sure about what I'm going to find. This was hugely influential for Christopher Rocchio too, and for his Sun Eater series. Or, if I'm not mistaken, he discovered this series after writing the Sun Eater series. And it was a problem because many people were comparing those two series and saying that were too similar, but I don't think that the Sun Eater series is a ripoff to this one. But of course, I will tell you more when I read this one too. No, by the way, the Sun Eater series is very good. It's very well written. It fits the bill completely with this kind of aesthetic of far future that almost completely becomes fantasy by the aesthetic of it, because you have huge spaceships and interstellar travel and kings and queens and empires, but it is very much chivalrous. There's a chivalry in the aesthetics of it. Books 1 to 3 were amazing. Book 4 for me, it was not good in any way, so I will not talk about it. I'm still trying to decide if I have to continue with the rest of the series, because book 4 scorched me for life, but those 3 first books are amazing, so you should check them out. But let's talk about the Book of the New Sun, and it is about this. Is unanimously acclaimed as Gene Wolfe's most remarkable work, hailed as a masterpiece of science fantasy, comparable in importance to the major works of Tolkien and Lewis. One of the most ambitious works of speculative fiction in the 20th century. This first book, I think there are 4. The first one is Shadow of the Torturer, introduces young Severian, an apprentice in the Guild of Torturers on the world of Earth, who has been exiled for committing the ultimate sin in his profession, showing mercy toward his victim. So admittedly, this sounds a little bit darker compared to what I usually enjoy. So I don't know how much I will enjoy this kind of a story, with that kind of darkness of gloomy all around. But it looks like it has been so incredibly well written that at least it deserves a shot. So, Shadow of the Torturer, the Book of the New Sun. Dread Empire's Fall, the first book is called Praxis by Walter John Williams. This is completely new to me. I've discovered this series with that Reddit thread. Thanks again to everybody who took the time to go into the comments and give me this kind of suggestions. The cover is amazing and it sounds familiar. It is about the evil empire having strangling the galaxy with that chokehold. But at the same moment, it has been blurbed by J.R.R. Martin, and it sounds in a way similar to The Expanse, but much further in the future. So it should have that kind of aesthetic I'm searching for. By the way, I didn't mention The Expanse in this in this video. It has been weird, right? Me not mentioning that series to this point, because that's so much closer to our present that I would call it more of a hard sci-fi series than a proper space opera, and it doesn't have anything of the fantasy aesthetics, so it doesn't fit the bill, even if it is to this day I think my favorite science fiction series of all time. But this specific series is about a naval officer called Garth Martinez. We love Latin American surnames, so that's a win. That recognize an insidious plot, maybe some kind of a rebellion, and he has to work with Caroline Sula, a pilot, and together they are now the last hope for freedom, and they together have to battle the chains that are strangling all the galaxy. It sounds really familiar, in a way pretty tropey, but that's not a bad thing. I love tropes when they're used in the good way, and many of the most famous book series of all time, they're famous for a reason, because they use in a very compelling way those very familiar tropes. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it. This one is a good one that I started many years ago when I think the first time I got a free trial for an Audible subscription. I had this very old, very interesting audiobook completely free, and it was the first book in the Majipoor series by Robert Silverberg. The first book is Lord Valentine's Castle, which is described as fantasy and epic fantasy, but I think it is not. This is science fantasy at the very least, but there's a good chance that it goes to space opera at the end. Admittedly, I didn't have the chance to finish that audiobook because it was very, very long, and I was very busy at the time, so I didn't have the chance to finish the audiobook before the free subscription for that month, that free trial month ended and expired. But it always stayed with me, the fascination I had with that story, the setting and the character. It is about an amnesiac wanderer that has dreams about his true destiny, and he dreams about being the ruler of the Majipoor planet. I think that Majipoor in and of itself is kind of a character in this story, for as far as I remember, and just speaking about it, it makes me hyped to get back and to read it again, and maybe to listen to the audiobook again, even if I'm not sure if that audiobook is still part of the subscription of the portfolio you get here in Italy. So it is annoying. I don't have everything you have in the US or in the rest of the world, but there is a box set with the first 3 ebooks in the series on Amazon, available for everybody. I think the books are around 6 or 7, so it will be a very long journey. But I was telling you that Majipoor is very fascinating because the planet is huge. There is a map on Google about the Majipoor planet, and some kind of a little Wikipedia about it, describing it, and the continents and the flora and fauna. It is huge, it is very rich. For what I can remember, it has a very strange flora and fauna that was a huge part of the story, and many kind of different races, because at a certain point, and that's when my eyes popped out, you have the backstory of the planet, and it is very clearly stated that it was colonized by many different races, because there is interstellar travel in this universe, and somehow something happened that made that kind of communication between galaxy and planets become difficult and crippled. I can't remember it exactly what happened. I'm very mad about it, and I have to reread and complete the book. And along to this narrative, to this huge world building from this amazing planet, you have the story of this guy that dreams to be the Pontifex. I think that's the way they call it. He doesn't remember his past. Something happened that wiped away his memory, but he always and very often remembers about Lord Valentine, which is the ruler of this planet. And the weird thing about this, a little bit of world building about Lord Valentine, is that he travels the world to check on the world and to rule on Majipoor. But Majipoor is so huge that during his lifetime, Lord Valentine, the ruler, will not have the time to come back. He will go straight around the planet, and then he will die, because that the planet is so huge. He won't have time to visit all the places. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm not wrong. I think I'm right. That was really fascinating. Yeah, I have to rush and go and finish the book, but I think the first book is a completed story, and that book 2 is a prequel. I'm not sure. I will let you know. I will for sure give you a review about it, because I'm so excited about it. The last series I'm mentioning for this video, but remember, if this video does well, I will for sure mention something more about that thread from Reddit, and you should definitely check it out. It's the Polity universe by Neal. This is very long, very huge, very ambitious, and very complex. And it starts with Grindlinked, which is the first book. There are different reading orders suggested for this series because you have the main 6-book series, I think, and then you have prequels, and then you have spin-offs, like every big narrative universe of shared and connected novels. But the first one, I think this was the first published for this series, is about Ian Cormac. He is a legendary Earth Central Security agent, the James Bond of a wealthy future where runcibles allow interstellar travel in an eye blink throughout the settled world of the Polity. Unfortunately, Cormac is nearly burned out, linked to the AI net so long that his humanity has begun to drain away. He has to take the cold turkey cure and shake his addiction to having his brain on the net. Now he must learn to do without, just as he is sent to investigate a unique runcible disaster that has wiped out the entire human colony on the planet Samarkand in a 30 megaton explosion. I'm loving it, just reading about it. And the communion, the communality between the character exploration, the big, huge, expansive universe, and the concept of shared consciousness between AI and human beings. This is huge. This is big. I have heard about this series in the Science Fiction Reads channel. You should definitely check it out. That guy has a huge library of science fiction books. Most of them are really old, practically ancient, and impossible to find for anybody that lives outside the US. I'm so jealous of that beautiful library, but he has I think he has all the books from the Polity series, and I've heard him talk about it quite sometimes, and I'm pretty eager to start this one because many people say that this series is what inspired what we have with The Expanse now. So I'm curious, I'm pumped, and I will surely read it pretty soon. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you for staying with me to the end of the video. If you managed to see the whole video, leave a rocket emoji down below. It will surely help the channel. And remember that this is just a tiny fraction of all the suggestions I've got. That Reddit post has 70 replies, something like that. So go check it out. And if you have any interest in any of those books, if you want to do some kind of a buddy read, if you have any suggestion about books that fit the bills, the description for this video, leave those suggestions down below. I'll probably show you more about those suggestions in another video. As always, remember that if you enjoy science fiction and fantasy books, especially space opera and epic fantasy, this place is perfect for you. So please consider subscribing to help the channel, leave a like, and ring the notification bell so you will be notified anytime I upload something new. You can watch some other video just at the end of this one. Thank you and bye.